In the Old Testament, God met Abraham in the wilderness to make covenant with him. Then, God sent Moses to deliver his people from slavery in Egypt. But the people took their wealth in gold and put it into a calf god and focused their attention on it and forgot their God. Today, that calf is fully grown and lives on Wall Street in New York City. But the principles remain the same. The people place their faith in the bull market and give their ear to Wall Street's prophets and priests. Segment 9. Business Magicians. Part 2. Sacrificed to the Gods. In the first segment, we talked about how great nations fall when the people abandon their commitment to God and their commitment to principles, placing their faith in modern-day golden calves, building a whole religion around the market economy, modern-day mammon worship, and choosing to serve mammon over choosing to serve God. And of course, we've abandoned the archaic titles of the past. Today's priests are known as financial advisors. Today's prophets are known as market forecasters. Of course, we should be prudent in the handling of our finances and investments, for we have responsibilities not just to ourselves, but to the generations that follow us. But when return on investment becomes the only criteria for which investments we choose, we may be inadvertently funding some pretty dodgy activities. Or, if we find ourselves trusting more in our investment reports, as opposed to trusting in God, we might want to ask ourselves where our true faith lies.
I have held many things in my hands, and I have lost them all. But whatever I have placed in God's hands, that I still possess.
We live in a culture obsessed with the pursuit of individual wealth and status, with a dizzying array of investment options, a materialistic culture that measures people by what they drive, and where they live, and where they work, and a general obsession with power, wealth, and fame, with self-obsessed celebrity pastors living in mansions like kings and queens, only serving to reinforce our materialist culture's obsession with money, wealth, and power, and every bit obsessed with gold, money, and power as the ancient Israelites who worshiped the golden calf.
Isn't all of this totally contrary to the teachings of Jesus?
No one can serve two masters. Either you will hate the one and love the other, or you will be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money.
But once again, enterprising and ambitious booksellers have come up with a way of falsely justifying cultural selfishness and greed, and to mask our culture's love for money and power in non-scriptural Christian psycho-jargon. By teaching supposedly Christian ideas that are totally contrary to everything that Jesus taught us, injecting political bias into the Christian church in order to promote their far-right political agendas. And the same people who tricked us into believing that pro-life only applied to life in the womb are now introducing the idea that empathy is somehow a sin, and that having feelings for the weak is somehow an offense against God. Yes, you heard that correctly. Having feelings for people is now a sin. The book The Sin of Empathy says that feeling the kind of empathy that Jesus had for all people might be a sin, depending, of course, on who the empathy is for. So being concerned about the welfare of immigrants might be a sin. Not to be outdone, another Christian author is giving lectures on toxic empathy, as if there was somehow evidence that the church suffers from a fatal outbreak of love and compassion somehow, explaining that Christians who have empathy for poor or oppressed might somehow be suffering from a chronic disease, as is anyone who may be working toward a more just economic or social order. But those who speak against such charitable efforts do so in service of their own selfish political agendas. For even the Old Testament tells us to have compassion for the poor and for immigrants, as well as widows and orphans.
Do not oppress widows, orphans, foreigners, and the poor, and do not scheme against each other.
But what's really going on is an attempt to hijack the church and hijack the pulpit and turn it into an extension of the political conservatives' bully pulpit and bring the God of our current conservative class, the God of Mammon, into the church so that we can all bow down to that modern-day golden calf and make that golden idol our God.
For the love of money is the root of all evil, which while some coveted after, they have erred from the faith and pierced themselves through with many sorrows.
But having empathy is not a sin, nor is empathy a disease. Of course, civilizations have been down this road before, and we know where it ultimately leads to, forsaking the worship of God in the process. So the question we should ask ourselves is not whether we possess things or not, but whether our things possess us. Therein lies the answer to whether we have true reverence for God, or whether our true faith and reverence lies in the temporal things of this world, like the car we drive, the real estate we own, the career we have chosen, or the people we know, or the leaders we put our faith in. And therein lies the key to our character. Because economic downturns will come. Financial challenges, market losses, personal losses that no amount of money could compensate for. But when those times come, the cross will still be there, and we can find the strength, wisdom, and character to face challenging times. Our Bill of Rights entitles us to inalienable rights because we are all creatures of the same God. But when we bow down to golden gods, then we are in danger of losing those rights, since those that have the gold make the rules.